All right, everyone. There's a politician called Perry Freeman, a progressive Dem up in Burlington, who's encouraging the disarmament of the Burlington City Police Force here in the state of Vermont. This usually happens here or in Portland or maybe like Washington State, somewhere quite liberal. San Francisco comes to mind. Maybe New York City, a little bit less. They like their guns. The police force in New York City, I know. The NYPD likes their guns. It's not going over so well. The police balk at the suggestion that they should be less armed than those around them. You can understand why they'd be pissed off. Here they've got this councilwoman rambling about them. Oh, I took a trip to Europe, and in some of those countries the police don't regularly carry firearms, and that would be such a wonderful thing. You see, the problem is you've got civilian firearm ownership, and this is pointed out by the Burlington police. There's a difference. Firearm ownership is pretty scant in places like Iceland. It's not so scant here, and that includes the state of Vermont. The state of Vermont is as homogenous culturally and ethnically as Iceland anyway, and pretty much as densely populated as maybe some of the more remote parts of that icy land. But we've got a Second Amendment here. I always find it funny when politicians, they're like, oh, we should be more like Europe. No, fuck no. That's exactly what we were trying to get away from. The people who founded this country were tired of the European-style systems. They're like, we're going to take these antiquated systems from 2,000 fucking years ago. We're going to retool them a little bit. We're going to add in basically what amounts to pagan iconography and overlap that into a civic structure. And we're going to say, fuck Europe. We're going to fight against our own government in the case of them waging the revolution. They were British subjects at the time. Overthrew their own government in this particular part of the world and established a nation. The British are like, oh, fuck it. They had bigger concerns at the time. And then you have the War of 1812. It's a little bit of a difficult issue, but anyway. What essentially happens is that we've got a population here that's well armed. It would be unwise to have a police force that didn't have topical firearms. Now you can say, well, the police don't need like battering ram tanks and stuff. Okay, and I think the Burlington police actually turned down some of the the war surplus that was offered in the late Obama era or something, if I remember correctly. I think, or was it Bush? I think Bush cleared up some older gen weapons to be retooled for police usage, and I think most of the Vermont police forces said no. Until recently, I don't even think they had a high-powered rifle purchase. In order to penetrate the potential body armor or something like that. So we don't have problems in this state. And here's this crazy woman rambling about the need to disarm the police. What problem do we have with police or even gun crime in this state? We don't have a problem with these things. There's no gun crime epidemic in the U.S. anyway, let alone in the state of Vermont. It just doesn't happen. Most of the time, if there's a firearm problem going on, it's some sort of hunting accident or negligent discharge, or it's someone committing suicide. And by the way, good on you to distrust the police force with, topical weapons, handguns or, whatever. No, I think the police should be armed. I think everyone else should be armed too. I think only in a goofy place like Burlington could this suggestion be taken seriously. And some of the UVM kids will probably promulgate it. It'll be an interesting time for sure to see that. They'll probably be marching on the campus green, smoking weed or something about that pretty soon. Yeah. So what was it? Perry Freeman, councilwoman up in Burlington. I went to Europe once. You should listen to me. I've got so much life experience. I took a trip to Europe on my parents' trust fund. I took a 2-month-long college trip to Iceland. I know everything about the world, and there's such a lovely culture. Everything should be like that here. It's funny how people with no fucking clue are always trying to decide policy. Keep in mind, these people, not only do they vote, they run for office, and sometimes they win. Like AOC, she can't even figure out what a garbage disposal is for, and she wants to design our energy policies in the United States, so definitely a fun time. So yeah, keep the Burlington City Police armed. In fact, give them more guns just to piss these progressives off. That'd be funny. It's like there is a problem. Here's the thing. Bullshit like this distracts from the real issue, which is that sometimes you do have a bad cop, and they get there's the blue wall of silence thing kicks in, and someone who shouldn't be on the beat, so to speak, is on the beat. You get that. You get problems with waste, certainly within police budgets, and then you have situations where things get escalated in a situation someone gets shot or something. It's not necessary, and you have a big scandal. The taxpayers have to bail it out sometimes because, you get a wrongful death suit, they settle out of court. Who's paying for it? It's the taxpayers. It's not the cops don't pay for it themselves. Those are all real issues. There's no issue in my mind with the police possessing firearms, though, in the general sense. I think if they didn't, that'd be a little bit of a problem. Imagine Burlington City Police get a call to a domestic disturbance with a person who's armed. Well, what are they supposed to do? Do they have to wait while they call the SWAT team up in the middle of the night because they're the only cops that are going to be allowed to have firearms? That doesn't make any goddamn sense at all. A regular person can walk down the street with a firearm, open or concealed carry, anywhere in the state of Vermont, and it's perfectly okay, but the cops can't have a handgun to defend themselves? What about a rabid animal or something? What about pit bulls attacking a 4-year-old? What's the cop supposed to do? Pry its jaws open with their bare hands? What, they're not supposed to have a firearm in such a situation? What about someone's already on an active rampage? I guess this is a good argument for citizens owning more firepower and being able to use it much more effectively and being trained as well as possible because you want to disarm the police. Well, if you want to arm everybody else up so that nobody dares commit a violent crime, okay, and respect, I guess that can work. Then why even have a police force, I suppose, at that point? Just have a private group do it. Like some of those little rural, like a wannabe libertarian community has its unofficial security guards and its fake court or whatever, the one that's not recognized by Uncle Sam because it's not technically part of the judiciary. Yeah, no thanks. That sounds like a bad idea. I think disarming the police in Burlington would be a problem, but apparently this person thinks that it's like ISO. I guess that the architecture is similar enough to their capital that I can't pronounce the name, Reykjavik or something. It looks similar enough up in Burlington. It's like, I think, a similar population too. So they're like, okay, well, we can make it work. Maybe. Vermont's probably the only place where it would work because people tend to be so lawful and kind of rural. But no, dude. I think it'd be better to keep the police armed. That's about all. Peace out.